Salutations all. Today we will be presenting about nutrients and their effects on water quality in the Upper East River. I'm Chris.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Katie. And our experiment was testing the water quality near the two sites near City Maritime. We tested the bus stop near the beginning of campus, and then we tested the pier where the ship is located inside the basin of Maritime. And we tested parameters including rainfall, chlorophyll, nitrates, nutrients like phosphates and ammonia, and then as well as phytoplankton abundance. And our hypothesis for this experiment was that we believed because IT was located closer to a combined sewer overflow, which is a CSO, that it releases more nutrients and it will have higher elevated nutrient levels after it rains due to release of raw water from the CSO. CSOs are from the Department of Environmental Protection. They release raw water from the wastewater treatment plants and can introduce inorganic nutrients such as phosphorus and nitrogen. We call those DIP and DIN for dissolved inorganic nitrogen and dissolved inorganic phosphorus. Ammonia is a nutrient that is released when the decomposition of organic matter, such as phytoplankton or the inorganic materials released from the CSO, are introduced into the water and start to decompose. And phytoplankton growth increases from the excess nitrogen and phosphorus in the water, and chlorophyll is released from these phytoplankton, and it is a measurement of phytoplankton abundance. So if there is higher chlorophyll A in the water, then there is high phytoplankton levels. And to test our hypothesis, we did 4 to 5 different tests of chlorophyll, plankton, DIN, DIP, and ammonium. We used chlorophyll and we filtered water and then soaked the filter in acetone and centrifuged it and then put it in a Turner fluorometer and took the reading. For plankton, we observed different plankton, phytoplankton species under a microscope and recorded the results. For DIP and DIN, we filtered the water, and then the filtrate of the water was put in a flow injection analysis, and the DIP and DIN values were calculated. And for ammonia, we used a vacuum vial specific for ammonia concentrate to test our water samples and put them in a spectrophotometer for reading. And I'll take it to Chris for the results.
So for the results, we did 5 different figures. In our first figure, we did ammonium nitrogen versus rainfall. And in this figure, ammonium nitrogen was not affected by the rainfall. As we see in the graph, the orange line represents site IT, and the gray line represents site MAR. And in the blue line, that is the average rainfall for that week. The rainfall does not indicate any increase or decrease in ammonium nitrogen concentration. If we did a longer study, we would see better trends over periods of time. Figure 2, we did chlorophyll versus phytoplankton. This figure shows the number of phytoplankton species elevated per week which is the blue line, compared to the chlorophyll content, which is the orange line. These two will not really have a relationship on the graph because there is a delay between the chlorophyll content and the amount of phytoplankton. But this is more of not really seeing the chlorophyll signature at the same time as the nutrient signature. And for figure 3, we compared DIP to the rainfall average. And in this figure, our results did not show a direct correlation between rainfall, which is the blue vertical line, and DIP at each site. In the gray line, it is site IT, and the orange line, it is site MAR. But at site IT, it had higher concentration values. This is because site IT is closer to the location or the local CSO in the East River, which had a clear path compared to site MAR, which was kind of enclosed by the school's pier.
Right on. So figure 4 talks about or compares DIN to rainfall. And DIN is very similar to DIP, whereas DIN was not directly influenced by rainfall. Because this is a weekly study, as Chris previously mentioned, the data may not be perfectly quantified as it takes time for DIN and DIP to appear. Now, the site closest to the CSO, figure 4, site IT, was clearly shown to be higher in concentration, but like the other figures, rainfall was not a direct factor. Figure 5 talked about chlorophyll and the rainfall 3-day average. What we determined here is how IT, the site closest to the CSO, had higher chlorophyll content, and site MAR had lower, which was expected and hypothesized. However, just like the previous graphs, rainfall did not show a direct correlation. One of the reasons for this is due to chlorophyll and its delayed reaction to heavy rainfall. Planktonic activity must be abundant before a spike in chlorophyll can be seen. Overall, we concluded that ammonium nitrogen at both sites, which we thought would be higher after rainfall, was not. And this was the only graph in which IT and MAR had different results. We had some days where the nutrient concentration was higher at MAR and others where it was higher at IT. It wasn't a clear trend like the DIP and DIN and chlorophyll graphs. Environmental limits for ammonium nitrogen range from 0.02 to 0.4 milligrams per liter, and we determined that the ammonium nitrogen levels were safe in the East River, as our highest value recorded was 0.1736. We also concluded that phytoplankton growth is dependent on high nutrient content, DIP, DIN, and chlorophyll. All three of these nutrients can influence the growth of these organisms. In our case, we used chlorophyll, and we did determine that it has an effect on elevated species, as higher concentrations led to larger amounts of elevated species. DIN, DIP, and chlorophyll were also all measured against rainfall. This is indicated by figure 3, 4, and 5. Now, we determined that rainfall wasn't a direct cause for nutrient concentration, but we did have solid results that back up site IT having higher concentrations in all instances. And we determined that DIN values were high in the East River and DIP values were considered low. Overall, the study we did prove some of our hypotheses correct. However, rainfall was not a direct cause for the increase in any of the nutrients. Thank you very much. Have a great day.